And welcome back, everybody, to the BaseLINE podcast. I'm your host, Ben Newman. Now, guys, we have finally made another milestone. This is the 25th episode of the BaseLINE podcast. Very cool. One quarter way to 100. Thank you guys so much for all the support so far, and let's hope we get to the next 25. But our special guest today, I interned with at the Kalamazoo Growlers last summer. She just wrapped up her junior season for gymnastics at Western Michigan. Please welcome my special guest, Ronni Binstock.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. How are you?
Good. Doing good, yeah.
Good. So, Ronni, like I just mentioned, you just wrapped up your junior season. How would you say the season went both individually and overall?
Well, individually was a little tough for me. I actually tore my meniscus for a second time in my career and had to get surgery mid-season, so that was a little bit of a bummer, but before that it was going great individually. Got my career high that last meet before I tore my knee, which was great for me, and then our team just did amazing. Like, we couldn't ask for anything better. We had 9 freshmen, and they all contributed, and they all brought something new to the team, plus everyone that returned did amazing, and we just broke records basically every meet, which was great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you just mentioned, you did score a few career highs this year, actually both at the same competition, Bowling Green State. 9.8 in vault, and then tied a career high 9.9 in floor. Mm-hmm. Reading about your career, obviously besides these injuries, it feels like you get better and better every year, but what did these achievements mean to you?
It just meant a lot to me because I had a little bit of a tough year going into the season, and some things happened and I wasn't really sure how it was going to go, and then to get those career highs, I think I got the 9.8 like twice that season in the 3 meets that I competed, so it was just like super exciting for me and really a boost that made me like want to keep going and keep getting better, so it was just great.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you also just mentioned, you're not the only person that broke records this season. You and the team broke a record for top overall score in program history also at Bowling Green, and well, I thought the funny thing is that a month and a half later, you guys broke that record again.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about this season that allowed you and the team to really be so successful?
I think because we had such a big group of freshmen, they really brought the energy, and they were just so excited to come in and compete, and they were like half our team. So I just think their energy and their just like excitedness to compete and do gymnastics just made us really want to push for those records. And I think just because since like I came in as a freshman, we've just been getting better and better, so it just makes us like, now we know that we're contenders in the MAC, and so we just want to keep pushing to like get better and better and break even more records.
I feel like a lot of girls start out gymnastics when they're young, but most don't continue. Mm-hmm. When did you start gymnastics, and what made you want to continue to the point that you are right now?
So I started when I was about 18 months, just in the Mommy and Me classes, mm-hmm. and I just remember my parents saying that, like, I never wanted to leave. Like, I just always wanted to be there. And I was doing diving and gymnastics up until I was about 10, and then I had to choose. And I just chose gymnastics. I always, like, loved the challenge. It was always, like, the constant in my life that, like, no matter what was happening in school or in my personal life, I could always come back. And gymnastics, I felt like I had a bit of control over. Like, it was my life and my gymnastics that was going to take me where I wanted to go. And so I think that's what I really loved about it. It was just like the challenge every day, and yeah, just knowing that I was in control of my own gymnastics was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you mentioned starting gymnastics very early. You grew up in Maryland, just 30 minutes outside of Baltimore. How did your upbringing really play into your love and dedication for gymnastics?
Oh, my upbringing. I mean, I think it never really seemed like something that I like wanted, that I was ever ready to give up. Like, it was always just the thing that I wanted to go back to every time, even when it felt like I wanted to quit or I was getting too many injuries. I just always wanted to go back. And I don't know how much of my upbringing, I mean, I'm the youngest child, and both my siblings kind of grew out of sports. Mm-hmm. So maybe that had a little bit to do with it, just like wanting to be the one that stuck it out. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I just always wanted to go back. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and following that, like we just mentioned, you did grow up in Maryland. So with that being said, what made you choose to participate in gymnastics at Western?
Yeah, so I started the recruiting process was when I was probably a freshman in high school, and it wasn't going very well. I was having some issues with recruiting and didn't know if I was ever going to end up in college gymnastics, which was always my goal, like since I was probably like 8 years old. And then I went to nationals my sophomore year, junior year, senior year, but that junior year, the assistant coach at Western followed my coach into the bathroom, gave him his business card, and said like, hey, we'd really like her to come out to a camp. And then I went to their camp like a month later, I think, and they called me and offered me, and I just committed right there.
It was kind of meant to be.
Yeah, but I had never heard of Western before, and so it was just like everything just went perfectly as it should.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before your time with the Broncos, you competed at Dockside Gymnastics Club, and in 2019 became the regional champion in bars and floors. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, I think my senior year was really like my peak, I would say. I don't know what it was. I think maybe it was just like my last year of high school and last year in club gymnastics, so I really like pushed, and every meet just got better and better that year. And so by the time it came to those championship meets, I felt really prepared, and I'd been at that gym my whole life, so I was like super confident just with my coach and with my team and with everything going on. So I think I had a lot of confidence at that point. So yeah, I think that helped a lot in those meets.
Yeah, definitely. And along with that, you were also a 3-time level 10 junior Olympic national qualifier. Could you explain for me in the audience, what exactly being a level 10 junior Olympian means?
Yeah, so the nationals is like the last meet that you go to, and it's like kind of what you're striving for every year, because that's where all the college coaches come, and so that is like always something that you strive for, and you have to be in like, I don't even remember, the top 8 or something in your age group to qualify to nationals, which is pretty tough, especially for different regions, because we're split into 8 regions, I think. So yeah, it's always the meet that you strive to make it to. That's what you're training the whole season for.
What does being level 10 mean? How do you exactly get to level 10?
Yeah, so I started in level 4 when I was probably about 6. I don't really know how old I was, but then you have to have certain skills to get up to each level. And so yeah, for me, each year I kind of just went up the levels based on like, over the summer you kind of train these skills, and then when summer's over they like analyze whether you're ready or not to move up to the next level. So I moved through those levels, and then I skipped a level and just kept going, and yeah, eventually reached level 10 when I was 12 maybe. So yeah, but it's the highest level before you go elite, which is going to the Olympics.
Not only have you been able to compete, all over the country, you've also been able to compete nationally for the Maccabiah Games, where, in 2015 you were named champion in vault, bar, floor, and all around. What exactly are the Maccabiah Games, and what was that experience like to not only compete in them, but to win?
Yeah, it was, one of the greatest experiences of my entire life. I got to go to Chile and Israel, which was just great, and it wasn't only competing, but it was also like traveling and just seeing those places, which was amazing, and competing against, in Israel we competed against the Israeli Olympic team, and getting second place to those girls was just great. It was the experience of a lifetime, and I would do it again 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronni, with everything that we just talked about, how do you think that all of your previous gymnastics experience really helped prepare you for the collegiate level?
I think just the dedication, and just always, like, I was in the gym almost every day growing up, so just always working to get to this like college level and building up the confidence. I think that's the biggest thing that they're looking for when you go to college, is like confidence and consistency. So that's what you're training like your whole life to do, is just be consistent and confident. And I think it was definitely tough my freshman year, because coming into a new gym after being in the same gym my whole life, but slowly I think I've been able to like build that confidence back up since I've been in college.
Going off of that, there's 4 main events in women's gymnastics, correct? Mm-hmm. Those being bars, vault, beam, and floor. What would you say is your favorite event, and why?
Floor for sure, and I think that's like very noticeable when I compete. Yeah, I love tumbling, and I love dancing, and I don't know, it's just super fun. And I think it's the one event that I never really got too nervous for, because I always just wanted to go out and have fun. And it always ended up working pretty well for me. So yeah, and I think for me it was the one that showed, like, I I got like higher scores on floor other than like anything else. So yeah, I don't know, it's super fun.
Yeah, I mean, floor is definitely one of my favorite ones to watch. I think that the one thing I love the most about it is just kind of how you build the routine around the music, kind of.
Yeah.
So how do you really go about choosing the music to build a routine around?
Yeah, so in club, it was kind of a collaboration with our choreographer and ourselves, and I had a lot of like custom mixes. So we would have this guy, I don't know, just cut music for us, and we would use that. And then as I got to college, it kind of became my choice a little bit. So freshman and sophomore year, our choreographer did pick my music, but this last year I got to pick my own music. I got to cut it. So I just picked a song that I liked and like kind of cut all the instrumental parts of it and put together like what I really wanted for my last routine.
That's very cool. What song did you choose?
Like That by Nightmare and Big Gigantic.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No, but we'll play in the video.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, it's cool.
Nobody makes me feel the way you do. Can't wait till you're in my arms again. And when we touch, I can feel it. Another night when the loving never
You know, on the flip side of that, what would you say is the one event that you struggle the most, or one that you at least would want to get better at?
Well, I would say growing up it was beam. I always got so nervous competing, and bars I was like pretty confident, vault floor pretty confident, and then I got to college and I don't know what happened, but I just like my confidence just went so low on bars, and then I tore my shoulder. So I had to retire bars, and it was kind of like a mix of just I would get really bad anxiety over bars and the shoulder problem. And then beams, for some reason I competed like all sophomore year on beam, and I loved it. Like I don't know, I really liked it, and I felt confident, I felt good. But yeah, bars was always, since I've been in college, just the struggle for me. And I mean, I always would like to get back on it, but, you know, injuries and stuff have kind of prevented me from, but it was also like really bad anxiety over it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would always be afraid to just completely miss those bars and like hit my head or something.
Yeah. No, and I was like falling a lot, and we went into MAC championships my sophomore year, and I was like, I don't think I could do this. And I was just so nervous, and then I fell, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't keep putting this like pressure on myself. So yeah.
When you do something like a dismount, like let's say for vault or maybe something like beams, did it ever hurt at first to land those, and kind of how did you get accustomed to that feeling?
I think it's just like repetition growing up and doing like certain drills that help you like absorb landings. That's such a big part of gymnastics, is like being able to use your legs to absorb those landings. And on floor you have like 2 or 3 tumbling passes that you need that for. A big vault landing that's on a hard mat. Same with beam and bars. So yeah, I think it's just when you're going through the process of learning everything, you're also learning those basic skills of just how to absorb landings. When
you are in a competition, going through a routine, what goes through your head?
I think at first I'm super nervous, and I just want to do good for my team. And then once I get up there, like especially with floor, I just kind of like, I don't know, everything feels like it just falls into place, and then I could just like go do my thing, and I try not to think too much. It is a lot of like breathing stuff. So for floor, beam, bars, it was always like, all right, take a breath here, like make sure you're, going in rhythm and stuff. And then vault, it's just like full send. Go as hard as you can. And yeah, but it's always a bit of nerves at the beginning, and then you kind of just like let yourself go and have fun with it.
I always feel like gymnastics is more of like an individual sport, but at the same time, your individual scores, kind of build towards your team scores. So when you're in there individually, how does the team support really help kind of calm those nerves and help guide you to a good performance?
Yeah, we always have normally there's someone there before you're about to go on that will give you a pep talk, which is great. Or like a coach will come by and kind of be like, you got this. And you're like, all right, like he believes in me, they believe in me. like I can go do this. Other than that, like you're competing and you're just hearing your team just like cheer their heads off. And yeah, I think just like I've had a lot of people tell me like, oh, I can hear your voice. And I'm like, I don't know if I can always hear everyone's voices, but just knowing that they're right there, just like cheering me on. Yeah, I think that definitely helps a lot. And just, we always just say like we have each other's back. So if something happens and someone makes a mistake, then the next person, like they have your back. And so that's, I don't know, it's always great to know that no matter what, that your team's going to be there for you.
For sure. There's definitely times where I wish I could really, get into the mind of a gymnast and truly get that first person view of, what they experience during competition. But, what does it really feel like to go fly in the air like that, and doing all those flips? What does that really feel like?
Yeah, I feel like when you nail a skill, especially in a meet, it's like there's nothing better. Like that's why I always keep coming back, even through all my injuries and hard preseason. Like just that feeling of sticking and landing after you're flying through the air. It's like, it's just an incredible feeling. And I think as you get older, you kind of realize like, wow, not many people can do that. So the fact that I can is like, it's pretty cool. And it feels cool to be able to do these things that I've been training for my whole life that like I know a lot of people can't do and don't get the feeling of. So I think especially in the last couple of years, I've just been like super grateful for that feeling.
Right. I mean, I can barely do a flip off a diving board. I couldn't even imagine what you guys do.
Yeah. It's funny. People are always like, "Can you do a backflip?" I'm like, "Yeah, I could do a backflip."
I think so.
I think I could do it when I was like 10.
Now, gymnastics, I feel like, is a very different sport to something like, let's say, football, basketball.
Yeah.
Which kind of made me curious. What are practices like, and could you go through some drills and other things that you and the team might do during a practice?
Yeah. So we do a running warm up for about like 5 to 10 minutes, just running around the floor, and then we will stretch as a team, and then we do this thing called complex, which is just you go one way down the floor doing like a handstand walk all the way down, or like a kick going down the other way. And so we'll do that for about 15 minutes, and it's also a lot of like a round off back tuck stick and stuff like that. So focusing on those basic skills is basically what complex is. And then we'll go break off, and there's like a group of us that will go to one of the 4 events and spend like 45 minutes there and then so we do 3 events every day, and then floor and vault alternate. So one day it will be a floor day, the next day will be a vault day, and then we do bars and beam every day. And then at the end, we'll sometimes like put blocks on the floor and kind of do jumping drills, and then you have to do a front tuck at the end and stick it or something like that. And then sometimes we do an ab circle or something, and then we go to lift, which is really helpful in the gym. But we just recently have started doing other, like, just a lot of sticking drills because, I mean, we've all been doing this our whole life. So, like, on the basics, we need to keep them up, but it's more about refining those big skills. And so a lot of, sticking drills and absorption drills, like I was talking about before.
A sport like gymnastics obviously takes serious dedication. I mean, whether that be, good diet, a lot of core work, things like that. How do you go about making sure that your body's in peak condition for the season?
Yeah, I think that's a lot to do with our lifting, because in club gymnastics, you don't do any lifting or anything of that sorts. But it was a lot of, like, gymnastics conditioning, which is abs and just, like, stuff to prepare you for gymnastics. But now we've added lifting into that, so lifting weights, all that stuff. And then, we have this thing called prep, which is we get this big sheet, and it's just a bunch of those, like, smaller basic drills to kind of help us stay in shape. But it's just a lot of training, like, training 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's just... That's enough to keep you in shape, I think.
For sure. I mean, it's no secret that gymnastics is, gymnastics, especially women's gymnastics, is one of the most popular Olympic sports out there. Was watching the sport growing up, kind of a big influence for your love of the sport?
When I was really young, yes. And then I think I went through a period of time, kind of when I was like in my teenage years and stuff, where I just had a hard time watching the Olympics because I knew I would never be that good. But then once I kind of got over that, it's always been an inspiration, and like just seeing how people love gymnastics even if they don't really know anything about it. I think that was pretty inspiring for me to just like keep going and stuff and be like, even if no one really recognizes us as much, when the Olympics roll around, like everyone's talking about gymnastics, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and growing up as well, and even right now, who would you say are some of your favorite gymnasts to watch?
I mean, I have to say swim and biles, especially with what happened in the Olympics last time when she pulled herself out for her mental health. I think that for all of us was super inspiring. Carly Patterson and Allie Raisman, they've always been pretty big inspirations. Yeah.
Yeah, Olympic women's gymnastics is arguably, the most popular women's sport, professionally at least. But at the same time, collegiate gymnastics and other women's sports like that, they don't really get that much sports coverage. In your opinion, why do you think that there should be more coverage when it comes to women's athletics?
I mean, I think it's definitely getting better, but I think it's just what people are used to is just seeing those like male sports. Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously, I think that women's sports should be just as in the mix, and maybe they think the level's not going to be as good as the males, but I mean, I think especially with gymnastics, like it's something different for everyone to watch, and I think it's super cool, and I think we work so hard, just as hard as everyone else. I mean, we're in the weight room with the basketball guys, and we're doing the same type of lifting as them, so we're all working just as hard, and I think everyone deserves recognition for that.
For sure. And, on the flip side of that, what do you think needs to happen for women's athletics to get that coverage?
What needs to happen? I mean, this is interesting because I'm a sports management major, so it kind of goes along with that too. But I mean, I just think we need, I think it starts with the coverage and then the attendance rates go up, and then it's just kind of like that cycle, like the chicken and the egg kind of. I don't know what needs to happen first, like more people attending meets or the coverage, but I definitely think it's getting better, and I think it needs to be shown on like those more, because like you have to pay to watch a lot of the meets being streamed, so I think free streaming and stuff like that will help, because then people will be like, oh, like this is kind of cool, and keep watching, hopefully.
Ronni, you will be going into your senior season this year. What are you most looking forward to?
I mean, I'm most looking forward to just getting back out there. I mean, I haven't competed since January, and I missed it a lot more than I thought, and knowing I have 1 year left, I think I'm ready to just like make the most of it and kind of just like take it all in my last couple months of gymnastics, and just to see how our team is going to do, because we lost one senior and gained 3 freshmen this year, so it's going to be great to see how much better we can get with those new additions.
Ronni, we've talked about a lot of different topics today revolving around gymnastics, but what would you say is your ultimate goal in the sport?
I mean, my goal has always been to like compete as a college gymnast, and I'm about to complete that. So that was really in gymnastics my only goal. I used to want to coach a bit, but I don't know, not so sure anymore. But yeah, I think just that I did this. Like, it's not very many people can get to say that they were a Division I athlete for 4 years, especially on a gymnastics team, something I've been doing my whole life. So I think I'm just ready to, complete that goal this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ronni, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And, I'm looking forward to watching this season and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was super fun.
Of course. But that's going to wrap it up for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. Thank you to Ronni Binstock for coming on and talking about her gymnastics career. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe and follow us on all social media platforms. And of course, if you guys liked the music for this episode, make sure to go check out Hidden Harmony in the description below. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much again for tuning into the 25th episode of the BaseLINE podcast. I'm so happy we were able to make it to 25 episodes, 1 quarter way to 100 episodes, and I cannot wait to make the next 75 for you guys. With all that being said, guys, thank you again so much for tuning into the BaseLINE podcast. I'm your host, BaseLINE Newman, and we'll catch you guys next time.